Legal analyst Reitumetse Phiri joins us now via video link to weigh in on the recommendation. So a very good afternoon to you, Reitumetse. Of course, this is the second recommendation then from the Commission itself, with the third in November. Give us a sense then in terms of what has been said with that recommendation. Criminal proceedings, as we know, are possible if there is sufficient evidence found. What is likely then to unfold here?
Yes, I mean, we know that, the Madlanga Commission, in accordance with its terms of reference, has the ability to make such recommendations relating to criminal proceedings and any other proceedings that may be levied against any implicated individuals. In respect of these four, there has been a recommendation that has been made to the President regarding the allegations of criminality that have been made against them in the Madlanga Commission. And I think what then needs to happen is that the prosecuting authorities have to ensure that they have sufficient evidence, independent of the evidence that is actually being led at the Madlanga Commission, or they can satisfy themselves that they've independently investigated these allegations to such an extent that they can bring prosecutions. We have seen a number of prosecutions being brought on the back of the evidence and allegations being made at the Madlanga Commissions against a number of individuals in instances where the prosecuting authorities have been able to progress those.
Yeah, so when we look at, just some of the individuals that have been mentioned here, I mean, Lieutenant General Sibiya, suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner, is very senior in his ranking. Of course, he is suspended. Speak to us about how likely then this investigation around him and just some of, the things that we've heard in the Commission, of course, accused of colluding with Police Minister Senzo Mchunu to disband the PKTT. Of course, the minister is suspended, also still under suspension, to shield organized crime for one, in terms of some of the things that came out of the Commission. How likely then is this particular investigation likely to unfold? We do know, of course, that the Commission has recommended disciplinary procedures, also criminal procedures to be investigated if, of course, there is evidence found there.
I think the structure of the Commission has been quite interesting in the sense that we did have initially the complaint by General Mkhwanazi, being ventilated, and then all these implicated parties being given an ability to respond thereto. And as a result of that, there has been many avenues that have been opened, which may have not been necessarily immediately visible to any prosecuting authorities at the time. I'll make an example, for instance, with Advocate Andrea Johnson, who at the ad hoc committee in Parliament seemed, to have swam through that procedure without implicating herself at all. Whereas in the Madlanga Commission, pursuant to her own testimony and those of people that were linked to her and who've had an ability to consider her testimony, it's very clear that she has to come back to the Commission and that there may be potentially criminal proceedings that will arise from that. But what's important is that there is an ability for her to be questioned again. And I think that's an important consideration to make here, that in as much as there are interim findings or interim recommendations in some of these instances and with respect to some of the people that are at the Madlanga Commission or could be implicated in the Madlanga Commission, there's still some moving evidence that could point to bigger crimes and a more sophisticated criminal element than what appeared at first when these witnesses appeared there. So I think it is important to keep in mind that, yes, there may be instances where we say, yes, criminal prosecution should proceed, but there may be actually other instances in the background which may point to more and which would make, the criminal proceedings more complete at the relevant point in time.
Yeah, especially because the final report only comes out in November. So one then wonders what will be added when that one comes out. But thank you so much, Reitumetse, for your time and giving us just a sense of your take on this second recommendation. Reitumetse Phiri is a legal analyst.